idea, the distribution, and everything in between. We focus on you getting your project in the can and for the world to see. Thank you for listening to the Austin Action Fest podcast. Now let's get cracking.
I can't even see.
Oh, the fern? Is the fern in the way? Between the ferns. That's what
Too bad we don't have over the shoulder.
That would have been perfect
Right?
if we had over the
Foreground
shoulders.
element.
Next time, look, when we get a bigger crew, next time we'll have OTS cameras. It's going to
Yeah.
be a production. We're going to have
That's right.
freaking
We could do a
jib.
fight scene on stage with these.
Oh, this would be amazing. Road should sponsor that.
Right.
Shout out to Road.
The sound would be terrible for hitting.
It would be bad. So, all right, let's get to it. We have a very special guest. He's got to run because he's got a 6-hour motorcycle ride back to East Texas. So, welcome back to the panels. Benjamin Nathaniel Redic II here, a.k.a. the Violence Conductor with the Austin Action Fest and Market. Remember that Market part, 2021. We have a special guest today, winner of the feature category with Lockdown, Micah Lyons.
What's up, guys?
All right, go ahead and tell them a little about yourself, Micah.
Oh man, that was a dangerous question. So I'll give you the brief overview. I grew up in Texas. I graduated from Texas State University. I started out as an actor and transitioned into writing, directing, and producing. I spent about a decade in Los Angeles up until right around the beginning of the pandemic, and then hightailed it out of Los Angeles for a better quality of life during the pandemic in Texas. And the film that we had here that won was a film that was born out of, honestly, out of frustration. Because I had a film that fell through because of the pandemic, or I shouldn't say fell through, but a film that got postponed, which is still postponed because of the pandemic. And so I said, you know what, I'm not going to put up with this. We're going to make something. And I got some friends and some students and things like that together, and we made this wonderful little action flick.
Like it. I love all of that. We did a lot of shooting during the pandemic, and so I was curious because I know Hollywood kind of took a little press pause. I was like, I wonder if the independent filmmakers are going to do the same thing. And I'm like, whenever I smell weakness, blood in the air.
Yeah.
I'm like, how can I attack something?
Yes.
So
yes,
this was that. So I'm glad to hear some other people who had the capability of doing that. Working the angle. There's always an angle to work. So tell us a little bit about that process. Like, how did you get that going, and just a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I run an acting studio in East Texas. And so I've got roughly 30 to 40 students, anywhere from 8 years old up to in their 70s. And I cast a lot of my actors in our movies. And it's one of the perks of going to the acting class is you're pretty well going to get booked in a movie, and you're going to get to work with a famous actor or whatever, you know. And so I'm trying to cultivate a filmmaking culture in East Texas where there really hasn't been much of one in the past. So there's some, so I called up several of my best students, and then of course we got Mr. Diesel, Kevin Nash. We got him involved,
Nice.
and yeah, we kind of made it happen.
First of all, how did you get a hold of Diesel?
Well, through his incredible manager.
Okay.
She is fierce and she is tough, and as you would expect from someone who manages WWE Hall of Fame superstar, but also extremely helpful and kind.
Got it.
And was able to we were able to work out a deal that made sense for them and made sense for us, and we flew them out and put them up in Longview. And I will tell you that just for the record, any of you who may have a film that you're looking to cast someone, you got some money to spend, Kevin Nash was, he's now a friend. He was an incredible guy to shoot with. The guy even took me out for a steak dinner. I'm like, I should be buying you a steak dinner,
Exactly.
And so we've talked about other future projects already. So it was, not only did it work for this movie, but again, like you said earlier, just building relationships.
That is amazing. So So I thought you were gonna say, yeah, I was, in a barbecue joint and there was Kevin Nash and I handed him a script. Like, no, you went the traditional route. That's really, really cool. And a lot of people don't believe that that's possible, that they can get that kind of talent to pay attention to a script. So that's really awesome that you're able to get that going. So I did, it's funny, even before I saw his face, I saw some of the fighting and there was a scene in there and I was like, I bet that guy's a wrestler.
There's like a giant body slam in the hallway that knocks the ceiling tiles out of the ceiling. Yeah.
Yes, really enjoyed it. So you're in Longview. Is that where you're
Longview, Texas.
Longview, Texas. Is that near like Jasper and all that?
No, Longview is, okay, so we're in Austin, right?
Yeah.
You take I-35 straight up to Dallas.
Okay.
Hook a right on I-20, which would take you all the way to Florida, right? But you're going to stop right before you leave Texas, and you find yourself in Longview.
Oh, okay.
Okay, right there on I-20.
Okay. Gotcha.
About 45 minutes this side of Shreveport, Louisiana.
Gotcha. It looked awesome because we could see the trees and everything in that shot. It looked really, really cool.
It's pretty, yeah.
Yeah, man. So talk to us about, we're business oriented over here. If you can't get into the exact budget, can you give us like a range of the budget?
It was under $100,000.
The whole movie was under $100,000 with Big Diesel.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, I was not expecting that. I was not expecting that answer. So how did you raise the funds for that? What?
Well, again, it goes back to relationships. Part of it was a big chunk of it was self-funded. That comes from making other movies and having some success with those and having some money to spend. And I supplied all the equipment. All the equipment is the cameras and the sound and the everything. Lights and all were things that we as a production company already owned. And so that was a big help. We did about half of the post-production in-house. We outsourced the sound design. I have a composer that I use on every single film.
Okay.
Shout out to Eric Schroeder. He's out in Los Angeles. He does major, big Netflix movies and Hulu series and My Little Movies. And if you need a guy who is legitimately Hollywood level composer who's also indie friendly, EricSchroeder.com. It's CK. So ERICK, Schroeder, don't ask me how to spell it, .com. And he will work with you.
Hey, look, we're working on some fantasy stuff, so I might have to reach out to good old Eric.
There you go. I can get you the contact.
The Schroed man, see what he's got going on for us. No, that is really, really awesome. So you've made a couple films. This isn't your first project, right?
No, I've made about 12 or 13 in the last 5 years.
That's a lot of projects. So I believe you said
all features.
So Okay, so
one short.
So 12 features, one short, 13 projects, funded.
Right.
And you were directly involved, like on set, in how many of those?
About 5 of those. Some of those I was an EP or I was a consulting producer, something along those lines.
Yeah, that is a lot. How many of those had action in them?
Pretty much all of them.
Got it.
Pretty much all of them. Yeah, I would say that maybe. I'd say maybe like 2 of them had a scene or 2, but they weren't like action films.
Got it.
Yeah.
I think you should do more of those. Submit them again. We'd love to see you back here again. No, so what is it like? Did you write this one as well?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
However, this was, like I said, born out of frustration. I just wanted to take equipment out into a location and start shooting something. I didn't want to. So there was no script when we first started filming. I decided I was going to write an outline for a movie. It's going to be very linear, very basic, and I'm going to get a few of these actors together and I give them the story beats, and then we're going to improvise.
So this is okay.
So we get 3 days in. And I realized we have basically a dumpster fire. And no offense to my actors, maybe I wasn't clear enough with the objectives or the deal or the story beats. Yeah. But I was inspired maybe by Will Ferrell and the way that they work sometimes, and that's
drinking buddies. I think
you realize why Will Ferrell is Will Ferrell, And so 3 days in, I apologized to everybody. I said, take 3 days off. I'm going to go write the first 30 pages. Then we're going to film it. Then when we finish that, we'll take 3 more days off. I'll write the next 30, and so on and so forth. Now, the first 3 days, I did write the first act, 30 pages.
Okay.
But as we got into it, what happened is we had this big, old, dilapidated high school. That was our main location. 95% of the movie happens in this old, torn-down high school that I rented very inexpensively.
Very Tarantino of you.
Yes. And so I wanted a one-location movie that didn't feel like it, you know? So 150,000 square feet. So we had a lot of rooms to play with, even though it was one location.
Nice.
And so... So I apologized. I went and wrote the first 30. But as we started to film the first 30, we kept getting ideas, and actors were pitching in. They were changing things. They were bringing friends. Like, hey, I've got 2 guys who are out of a job, and they would love to help. Right? This was at the beginning of. This was April 2020.
Oh, okay.
This was like lockdown.
There's lockdown. Got it.
You know, and so they're like, he has nothing else to do. He's always wanted to be in a movie. So they come out. So they ended up becoming characters. They ended up, you know, all that kind of stuff. And then we would see rooms, and a room would have this really scary looking thing in it, or like the locker room that you saw that had the jerseys all hung over. Like that wasn't like, we didn't dress the set. That was just left in this abandoned, terrifying building.
Wow.
By the way, that was full of crackheads and vagrants and in real life that were breaking in and doing drugs while we were filming and scaring us half to death. We had to call the cops a few times, and they came and searched the building with guns because we heard gunshots. There was people running in the hallways around while we were filming.
Independent filmmaking.
And I had a contract to film in the building, you know, and this was going on. We like windows were breaking while we're filming on a different floor, you know, and so anyways, we kept getting ideas, and so it kept evolving as we were going, and so a lot of it. There's my phone. A lot of it was in the moment. It still was a lot of improv, and a lot of the actors came up with incredible things on the spot that I could have never written.
Got it. So they were thinking like, hey man, my cousin Daryl, he washes cars like nobody's business.
Right.
You got a room for him. Like,
right.
That's the kind of
Basically.
Some guys like I do Kali. Can we work that into the script somewhere?
So now get this. The guy who gets body slammed in the hallway where it breaks the ceiling tiles and they fall down. Yeah. So the reason why he got body slammed is because he is an amateur / professional wrestler, and he knows how to get body slammed. So like you would think he'd be the one to do the body slamming, but no, like he knows how to wrestle, so he needs to be the one that gets body slammed, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything about his career other than the fact that he had wrestled a lot of people, and he is a local guy. And then we hired Kevin Nash, and Kevin Nash comes. Turns out they've wrestled each other before. And so I started all these pictures of these 2 dudes wrestling, and Kevin Nash is almost 7 feet tall, and this guy's like 5'7". And so the pictures of them wrestling look photoshopped, you know, because it's such a difference.
Yeah, he's a huge man.
Huge guy.
No, that is amazing. That is amazing. I did not know you went through that. I knew you told me it was like some trials and situations, but that is a lot.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I can't hold you too long. I know you got to get on that road. As far as when you first got money to help you do it, like your first project, where you got an actual person to put a check in your hand.
Yeah.
And the heavens parted and the light came down and you heard the choir. Like, how did you do that? How did you go about securing the first one that was not like a cousin or grandma?
Right. My grandma has never invested. Mama, come on. Just kidding. So, you know, it's like you said, the heavens opened, the light came down, the choir sang. It's all true, because I think you have, what I tell people all the time is you have to keep putting one foot in front of the other. And I can't tell you, on my first film, it took 5 years. I made like several other movies inside of that one movie coming out. That first movie didn't even come out until last year. And I had already made so many other movies in the meantime. And so it was such a struggle to get that made. And, you know, when you've not made anything, it's really difficult to get people to go with you on the journey, especially from a financial perspective, as we all know as indie filmmakers. There's many times where I felt like throwing in the towel. Like, this is just, it's not going to ever happen. Like, I'm just beating my head against the wall. But you have to keep putting one foot in front of the other. On the days where it all looks good, you run. On the days where it looks like it's all going to fall apart, you have to crawl. You got to keep going. If you give up, you'll never make it. You're done, right? But I kept putting the word out. I kept going and marching. And out of the blue, this lady messaged me on Facebook. And the movie that we were making happened to be about human trafficking.
Got it.
It's kind of like a Taken in the world of Friday Night Lights. Okay. And, I've been posting about it for 2 years, a year or whatever. This lady reaches out and she says, listen, I'm with the Rotary Club and we're having an international conference in Dallas. And our whole theme this year is human trafficking. We'd love to have you come and be a keynote speaker. And they paid me crazy money.
Nice.
Because I'm a movie producer. I hadn't even made a movie yet at this point, right? And I came and I gave like a 15-minute speech to a gigantic room full of pretty wealthy people. And of course, at the very end of my speech, I plugged, and we still need a little bit of money to make this movie happen. A little bit, right? And a man from the crowd walks up to me and says, hey, I think I might want to invest in your movie. Can we have breakfast tomorrow? And, I was thinking for sure he's not going to show up. But I went back and I called my producing partner and I called my wife. And I'm jumping up and down in the hotel room. I'm freaking out, And next morning, sure enough, there he is. And he says, tell me about your movie. I give him a real brief, almost like a log line. He goes, okay, we're going to do it. And that guy has become a business mentor to me. He's become a friend. And he's invested with me 5 different times, including most recently on a Mel Gibson movie that we're doing in the spring. Pretty cool, right?
Yeah, my first story did not go anything like that. My first go around, a guy said, yeah, let's talk about your script. It was called, I don't know if I should say it because it might offend people, but this is before things were quite as delicate as they are. Let's just say it was called Wu Ping Stranger Out of Canton. And it was a idea I had about kung fu, black people jumping around our house kicking people. And very basic. I knew I was terrible, but I was like, this will be fun. We'll get a bunch of people involved. In the first meeting, I'm not going to say his name. We had a meeting. He didn't take me anywhere fancy. It was an IHOP. IHOP is okay. I'm not knocking IHOP. I'm just saying it's not fancy. IHOP, if you would like to sponsor the Austin Action Fest, we're more than happy to have you as a sponsor. But what I'm saying is, we need more sponsors. So I'm going to keep plugging whoever we mention. So we went to IHOP, right? I think I don't know. I had an omelet or something. I paid for it. He did not pay for it, and he proceeded to tell us why that wasn't going to work for him. So that was my first meeting. That was the first film conversation I had. You went and got money in a 5-time investor. So.
Well, I will say, he was not the first one we ever talked to.
Oh,
he was the 500th that I talked to. So to be fair, it wasn't quite as storybook as the first.
Got it.
You know what I mean?
Okay, so you had to persevere.
Oh yeah. We crowdfunded about 2 or 3 different times on that same movie.
Didn't work.
We had I remember I threw this huge party, cost a lot of money. I rented out a golf course, put up a giant screen, an inflatable screen. We came up with raffle games. We had a live band. We had a catering company come out. We did all this stuff. We had 750 people RSVP on Facebook.
Nice.
And it was going to be we were going to show a mock trailer and launch our crowdfunding, and our goal was $250,000, and all these people were going to come, and they're all going to, this is it. And I think 50 people showed up, and at this giant venue, it basically felt empty, and we raised like $1,000. And it was. Let me put it to you this way: the party cost a lot more than we raised.
The party was $15,000.
Yeah, the party not that much, but it was a lot more than $1,000.
So you lost money at the party.
We lost money on the screen rental. I mean, forget the band and the golf course and the food and everything else.
Oh man, that is. We're laughing. We have to laugh at the pain as a filmmaker, because often they say you could trip upstairs, you could fail forward.
Yeah.
And I have if I was to pull out any of the projects we did when we first started,
yeah, I
do it on occasion on Ballistic Blade Entertainment. I will post things like, this is terrible.
Yeah.
This is where we started from, to give people hope.
Yeah.
Everybody is still learning and processing, but literally in film, you fail forward.
Right.
Like you just got to keep rolling with the punches.
And I didn't go to film school. I went to acting school. So I was classically trained. I was working in New York, and I came out to LA. I was doing a lot of theater. I was working a lot as an actor. And I got into producing to facilitate my acting career, and then realized I love directing and I love producing, which I'd only done out of necessity to that point, right?
I was just laughing because I have a friend, my Edwin, he calls them glam directors. They're people who don't actually want to direct, but they want to do something.
Yeah.
So they will write a project and they will star in it.
Right.
But he's like, he gets mad because they don't really want to direct. So a lot of times, some people can't do that. Some people are not talented enough to play those different roles.
Right.
So whenever we're on set, he'll tell me somebody's glam directing.
Yeah.
He's going to get agitated. So quick little filmmaker tip. Because I've literally done the exact same thing, so I'm not knocking it. If you don't have any options, hey, create some options for yourself if you have to. But if you got a friend and they direct as good or better than you, and you got to be in front of the camera, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Call in the favor.
Yeah.
Just call in the favor.
You know what? I've learned from experience in making a lot of movies in the last several years. You can't do both things as well as you can do one thing by itself. You just can't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe you are the best director and the best lead for the project. And if you're in a small town, that might be
tough.
true. That's okay. And if it is, then that's fine. But if there is an equal director to you, then you can't do both better than he could do the other one and you could do the other one.
Makes sense.
Know?
If you can get the team together, It's a lot less of a headache. So, awesome, man. Well, we're going to end on that note. Is there anything you'd like to say? A little final 30-second tidbit you want to give out.
So if you want to find me, you can go to breathoflifeproductions.com. I teach producing seminars. I teach acting classes in Longview, Texas. I do a lot of stuff online. I also co-own a sales agency, so we rep movies, TV shows, documentaries, things like that to foreign buyers all over the world. Something that you and I didn't really touch on today is the business aspect of it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to throw out just a real quick tidbit. Okay.
Go for it.
There is this untrue thing in the minds of a lot of independent filmmakers, and that is you make a movie and you put it out and you hope people watch it so that you can make money. I'm here to tell you that that's a backwards philosophy, that it's wrong, and that we've had a lot of success, and I've gotten to make a lot of movies because we make money on movies before they come out. And people say, what? How do you make money on a movie that no one's even seen? It's called foreign licensing. It's called domestic licensing. And there is a formula. There's a way to do it. I teach how to do this. I've done it myself over and over. It's why we've been successful. And, people think that MGs are a thing of the past. And I'm here to tell you that I've gotten 2 or 3 this year. So just want to leave on that note.
Okay, so Mike is plugging himself for the next. We're gonna have to do a podcast where we're actually get you on the show. We're gonna talk a little bit about this, man.
Yeah, I'm very passionate about the business side.
I love hearing that. That's what we're about here. So on that note, thank you guys for watching. Mike, thank you so much for sticking around.
Thank you, brother.
Please,
such a pleasure.
You as well, man. Let us know when you get home safe. When you get home, please send us a message. Let us know you got there from all that time on the road, boss.
Right. Thank you very much, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you.